Everyone, and warm welcome to China Day Europe edition. Today we have three VIP keynote speakers. We have Mr. Zhang Biao from the Chinese Embassy, Charge d'Affaires. I would like to warm welcome you to China Day today. We also have the honor to present Alberto, which is the president of JEUNE, which is Young Entrepreneurs of the European Union. And last but not least, we have Mr. Michele from EuCham, the EU Chamber. Warm welcome to you. We will start off with our first keynote speaker, which is Mr. Zhang Biao. The floor is yours.
Okay, good morning. I'm very glad to be here and share a screen with you. I hope this event will bring you more cooperation opportunities and contribute to business cooperation between China and Sweden. As was pointed out by President Xi Jinping, a market is vibrant because of its people, especially business leaders. When we look at the world, we see business leaders making important contributions to the world's development. In a world that is experiencing changes unseen in a century and fighting a pandemic, the responsibility is and the missions on you are also special. I think first, you need to be able to find, create, and seize opportunities. You need to develop business amid the ever-changing industries, technologies, and international relations. Second, it's important that you promote cooperation and build bridges between countries so that countries are able to exchange ways and draw strength from each other, which will create real benefits for the people. Lastly, a true business leader is able to rise above bias and prejudice and shake off the shackles of ideologies. A true entrepreneur is appreciative of the diversity of cultures and development paths and contribute to an objective understanding of other countries. The importance of entrepreneurs in the relationship between China and Sweden, especially on the business front, cannot be overstated. It was a search for opportunities that led the Gutenberg ship to China in 1739. The ship brought China's tea and porcelain back to Sweden and Europe and opened a new chapter of the two countries' relations. It is a commitment to cooperation that has led over 600 Swedish companies to China and led 10,000 Swedish companies to do business cooperation with China. Last year saw our bilateral trade, despite the pandemic, grow by almost 1% to 17.8 billion US dollars. This year's first 6 months saw our bilateral trade exceeding 10 billion US dollars, up an amazing 23%, with Sweden still at the surplus side. It is audacity to rise above that led Sweden to become the first Western country to build diplomatic ties with the People's Republic of China, and the first country to sign a bilateral investment protection agreement with China, which laid a solid foundation for business cooperation. Dear friends, under the strong leadership of the Communist Party of China, the country is advancing towards the second centenary goal of building a modern and strong socialist country. In this process, there will be more opportunities for Sweden and other countries. China's economy continues on a positive trajectory. It grew by 12.7% in the first half year, and all major economic forecasters predict a relatively high growth rate for China's economy. China is also set to become the world's largest consumer as its market keeps expanding. which translates into an increasing need for high-quality goods and services from abroad, including Sweden especially. China will further open up its markets, improve its business environment, shorten the negative list for foreign investment, and offer better services for foreign investors. The cooperation opportunities are here and now. I hope you, the young business leaders, will be audacious to seize the opportunities of China's development. I also hope you will contribute to the friendly cooperation between China and Sweden and be a part of the new chapter of mutually beneficial cooperation. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Zhang. It's a lot of numbers, and the progress of China is always very interesting to follow. And you also have this culture of making plans long way ahead. I mean, it's very interesting to hear. And I think from the behalf of the people watching this at this very moment, some of the numbers are very impressive and something that we Europeans need to also think carefully about. Our next keynote speaker is Mr. Alberto from JEUNE. Alberto is the president of JEUNE, which is an organization working to promote and to assist young entrepreneurs all across the European Union. So please, the floor is yours, Alberto.
Thank you, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you, Mr. Zhang, for your kind words, also the good presentation. I would like to introduce a little bit about JEUNE. JEUNE is an organization that's started already in 1994, so is already with a history. And during this history, achieved many goals. These goals also on internal goals in the European Union, but also related with China and with working together with China. I can say that the former presidents made a huge work that gave me a huge pressure for me also on the way to achieve and to combine this relation, international and national also, with mostly with China. Since I'm the president of AGPC, that is the Portuguese China Association. So since 2012, that personally we are also engaged with China on that work, and we are working together on the way to make more closer the young entrepreneurs from the both sides. From JEUNE, right now we have 7 vice presidents and we have 9 task force. These 9 task force are so huge task force and groups that are committed to achieve the goals that we can say that we have task force that combine most of the work from the sustainability, for example, water, energy, and environment sector, and till, for example, the small and medium companies, international affairs, cooperation, and also some social work. So it's a huge task force. You can take a look on our website that later on we're going to write here a message also to understand a little bit our scope. And our commitment with China is so huge that even this year, I can say that we already got more than 50 meetings. From these 50 meetings, 25 was already face-to-face. The other 36 was online meetings and international. And some of that meetings was already with China associations. On the way to achieve the goals and to avoid that this COVID situation, this pandemic situation, get our relations colder. So we need to increase our relationship, and we understand very well on JEUNE the expression of guanxi. We need to preserve our friendship, and we need to try to keep more closer as soon as possible. So doing that, we also can say that last year JEUNE was involved and 2 years ago also with the former president of Andrea Gelfi, with a very close relation with China for Europe on the water sector. So we received it also in Portugal and in other delegations in Europe. I think that was in Netherlands also, the Minister of Water Sector. And also, of course, we got involved with the visit of the President of China, Mr. Xi Jinping. During the visit in some of the countries, we got members of JEUNE welcoming the President. So I can say that our relations is a very high level, and we want to keep like these relations because we understand that JEUNE should be the door and the open door for the connection from the both sides. On JEUNE, we have agreements with many associations, regional associations in China, but also with the Chinese overseas associations. That is associations that already from businessmen that already live or study abroad, and now that have understanding about our culture also. We can take a look also in Europe and understand that in some ways in our European Union, we have some difficulties that can be a potential, like in China. So normally when I compare China, I say that China, for the people that knows China, is a huge relation and also many cultures inside one culture. So we need to respect that and to understand this complex. And if we understand this, we will check that we have huge opportunities. For example, I can say that if we are going to the agriculture sector, if we see and if we take a look in the different regions that we have in China, sometimes we can, there are some goods that can be focused for some regions, for example, the sweets, chocolates in the north region of China have a good capacity to go on. If we go to the center of China, for example, Chongqing or Sichuan is a very spicy food, so the wines needs to combine also with this food. If we go to the south, it's completely different. If we go to the east and the western, it's completely different. So I believe that I have been already more than 40 times in China. These my 40 trips. I learned a lot with the China culture, and what we need to do is trying to bring more closer these relations. So I'm really happy to do this event with the presence of Mr. Zhang, representative of the Embassy of China in Sweden, because it's a good commitment to show that we are working together on that way. And just want to say also that we're going to start in 2 weeks the Business Rail Iberian edition between Spain and Portugal, that will start on 19th of November in Barcelona and will finish on 27 in Porto with the International Business Forum in Porto. And this International Business Forum in Porto will be also the open remarks with the Embassy of China in Portugal. So the ambassador will be on the open ceremony and will be the one that will start. That is already the 5th edition. And the last 5 editions was always with a big presence of the Chinese embassy with us. And we always got many businessmen from China. I can also say that the business rail that we are doing, that is a trip on a train, started in Europe, but already got editions in China. And since we are here, I would like also to make here a challenge that for the next year, on the second semester, we would like to realize and to start again the Business Rail, the China edition, and from Beijing to Chongqing, going to Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Macau. And for that, we would like to also to include that in Beijing, we should organize the China JEUNE Day. So we would like to make this challenge. We already discussed that also together with some members of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China. And I also would like just to say one more word, that is our relation with China is so good with JEUNE that every year we got invitations from the China Ministry of Foreign Affairs to participate in the workshop of the European leaders. So I would like also to say thanks officially to the embassy of China and Sweden, because it's really important that we keep working on that, and that your side give the opportunity for our side to send some young entrepreneurs that on this way we are also approaching the relations, and also we are starting preparing our next generation of ambassadors. Thank you, Adam.
Very much, Alberto. And very interesting to hear the JEUNE relations runs deep with China. It makes me very happy to see that we have a dialogue with China from the European side, and this can of course benefit our young entrepreneurs in the European Union. And I think from my point of view, China have these impressive numbers of growth and economic prosperity. And I think it's important for us from the European perspective to see the opportunity that actually can bring also to us here in Europe. So that is also what I meant earlier when I commented on Mr. Zhang Biao's keynote speak, that we need to really think about that from a European perspective. That is what I believe. Now I will welcome our third keynote speaker, Mr. Michele Orzan from the EuCham, the European Chamber. Please, the floor is yours. Warm welcome.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation, Adam, for the great organization, Mr. Zhang, Mr. Alberto, the president, and all the listeners also. It's an honor to be here, and especially a special honor when we have to speak with China. China, it's for us, European, it's one of the most important partner, not only in commercial, but also cultural partner. And in all our business activities, in all our business development, and the young entrepreneurs, we are speaking today about young entrepreneurs, cannot forget about China. So we have something in common and something different. So I have in our organization, which is a think tank, that in the future we're launching a network of multilateral private chamber of commerce across Europe, but now as a think tank working in business integrity, business ethics, and environmental issues, and everything what is important for a company to be a good player in the world. And it's valid for China, it's valid for Europe, it's valid for America, for everybody, because when we do business, we have to think about the future, not only about today. So what is common for an entrepreneur in China and in Europe? We will see later, but now let me show you some differences now. So if I can have the possibility to share the screen, is it possible? Let me see, I'm trying now. Yes, I think we are okay. So at the European Chamber, we produce our researchers, and we give also many of them in Chinese. Look, for instance, at this one. This is a research all that we publish every year, and it's regarding all Europe. You can download from our website. We'll put maybe in the link in the event, and we'll follow up with everybody. We have it in every language, but this is in Chinese, as you can see. And you can, for a Chinese perspective, you can see what is different in Europe. Europe is not one big country like China. So we have a lot of people, millions, hundreds of millions of population, but distributed across different countries. So we don't have only European Union here, which is 27 countries, but we have a lot of other countries, including those that you see that are in Europe partially, like Turkey. We have one part in Europe, and Russia, and even one part of Kazakhstan, it's partially in Europe. This part, it's in Europe, actually. So we collect data from all of them, and we rank them based on different socio-economical point of views and measurements. We put together the business ethics, and we put together the reasons why doing business is good or bad. So we have, unfortunately, two Europes here. We have one northwest side, and we have one south eastern side that still are different. So we see a pattern here. So what is important, if you are a Chinese entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, so you move to Europe, you have to know where to start, and you have to know how to continue. This is very important. Europe is not it's not yet, let's say, European Union is working in that sense, but it's not yet a market where every location counts at the same time. So we have differences in business attitude, we have differences in risk, we have differences in the market size. Another thing that you can find in Chinese, for the Chinese entrepreneur, well, I will give you also in English. This way we research the differences of the policies of the countries all across Europe, how the countries were working in order to relaunch the economy after COVID. So this, we measured all the packages that the governments of the whole Europe, 50 countries did. On some of them we didn't have, the government was not very transparent, but most of them, like 90%, is very well calculated. This one we can see what happened after COVID and how the countries are helping the economy. Everything, of course, is available in English too, and some other languages as well. But let me share one important thing for our Chinese friends about Europe. This is what I wanted to show you. I will go now full screen. So this is Europe. As I showed you before, this is geographical Europe, and it's only 7% of the land of the world, 10 million square kilometers, 10 million square meters, sorry. But it has 10% of the population. So Europe, European Union plus the other countries, 750 million people, which is exactly 10% of the population of the world. 28% of the GDP. A few years ago was 33%, now it's 28%. China takes a bigger share slowly. It's increasing and doing a great job in developing its economy. But we have 50% of the whole social spending of the whole world. Our government spend 50% of the whole budget of the whole world in developing society. So we have here pensions, we have health insurance, we have support for disadvantaged people, and also development inside. So this is a big difference between Europe, that an entrepreneur coming from China to Europe has to consider in order to make the best choices. But on the other side, also the European entrepreneur who goes to China should know that the differences there, specularly, may help him understand what changes to do. So going back now, I can stop the sharing and going back to me. Let's see. Stop share. I think we are again online. Do you see me? Am I stop sharing or not? Yeah. Here we are. So now these are the differences. What are we have in common? After seeing the differences in the market, in the environment we have for the companies, in legislation, but also in opportunities for, we have the common things are for entrepreneurs, the attitude, the approach of entrepreneur, of the young entrepreneur, the vision and determination to develop something which is good for himself, the company, and the society at large. This is common, the same in China and same in Europe. So when we see what we have to do, we have to check the future and not the past. So I will conclude with one simple sentence when we that it helps to understand what we are going to look when we make decisions, and also when finding partners and choosing employees. As a young entrepreneur, you have to find quickly people. So it doesn't matter where you come from, but where you are going. This is what we consider important for our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michele. Interesting to hear about all of the measurements that the chamber actually does, that provides like really good base and foundation for businesses to stand on when they approach the European market. I mean, from a Chinese perspective, to get this information could be very valuable. So it's very interesting to see, and thank you for sharing this. And I truly agree with you when you say that it doesn't matter where you come from, but where you are heading. And I think that is something that is very true when it comes to China as well. You often hear about the American dream. I think we have like a Chinese dream instead, because of all of the interesting pop-ups of entrepreneurs and innovation technology that is actually going on and happen there. And so yeah, it's really interesting to see. Thank you very much, everybody. Now we will go on to panel dialogue, and the panel is of course our keynote speakers, and I will start off with Mr. Zhang Biao. If you would like to comment on the keynote speak from JEUNE President Alberto and Michele from EuCham. I can ask you a direct question, Mr. Zhang.
Okay.
What do you think when you hear about these two organizations working so intensely with China? What is coming on your mind the first?
Yeah, for me, I think that Sweden and European is a very important partner for China, and I think that we need every organization, every agencies and organization to promote the bilateral relationship. And I'm very glad to hear that the two organizations make a lot of contributions to the development of the bilateral relations. Especially, I totally agree. I completely agree with Mr. Michele said that we should look forward to the future, and you know, as a different country with a different culture, different histories, we have a different approach and a different way of thinking. But then we must perceive each other in a objective and rational ways, and know the difference, and seize the opportunities, and make the synergy to become a reality, and to bring the real benefits for the countries and for the peoples. It's very important to perceive each other in an objective and a rational way. I think that's one of the most challenging things that we need to pay more attention and make more efforts to promote the rational perceptions. That's one of the most urgent I think task that we need to do. Yeah,
I agree with you, and I think that often when we discuss this kind of relations between China and the West, often Europe, we of course almost always speak about the cultural differences.
Mm-hmm.
But for me as a Swede, a Swedish citizen, I can actually start to see some similarities. Mm-hmm. If you go beyond politics and look at the hard-working, skilled worker in China, I mean, that is pretty much what has built Swedish prosperity since like World War I and the Industrial Revolution, etc. So I can see that myself in my family and my grandfather and where they came from, etc. I can also see that we have this like unicorn express here in Sweden, where we have a lot of innovation growing, precisely as you have in China as well. And maybe Sweden is a little bit of an extreme, for good and bad, when you look at the European perspective. So I think one of the charts that you showed us, Michele, of the different areas of the European Union, which had different colors, I think there is a lot of truth to that, of course, that if you know where to go in the European Union to do what kind of specific business, that is very valuable. And I think that also rings truth when you go to China. China is a very big country, and I would almost would like to say that China is many countries within the country, many cultures within the culture. I think Alberto, you touched upon this topic in your keynote speak, if I'm not mistaken. So Alberto, I would like to ask you, what do you think about what we are discussing here now? What comes to mind going forward? I think the background why I'm asking you this question is that if we should not be talking about history and we should look forward, please be our wizard and look into the future. How can we act upon this relation with China from a European perspective, and how can we benefit from it, this type of collaboration? So I would like to have your opinion on that.
Thanks, Adam. So first of all, we need to always take in consideration and look for history, because the history is the something that we need and to take a look, learn with the history, and correct our mistakes, and mostly to think about the future. And this with the present and the future that we need to be concerned. On JEUNE, we can say that, of course, we are European Young Entrepreneurs Association. We are leaders, and for sure that some of us will become very big and stronger leaders for Europe for the next 20 years. We have a position to go on. So it's important that we commit and we increase our bilateral relations between European Union and China. But also it's important to understand that if we became on this commitment strongly, we can also look and to aim to another geographies, like for example, European Union plus China with Africa, European Union plus China with Central Asia, for example, Southeast Asia, with Latin America. And that is something that we need to achieve and to get our goals, is also that we need to think on also on economic, but also on social projects, like we are doing on JEUNE. We are doing lots of social projects with a real impact. Like, for example, the project of Ambracero, that means no one's get starving in Europe. And with this project on Ambracero, we already started in Spain, now is also in Portugal, where we committed to give food and supplies for the ones that is more on need. But now we are starting with this project already for Africa, for some countries. So is with the good goals, like for example, as the small producers that we started, for example, in Portugal, and now we expand also to another country in Europe. But now, for example, Malaysia already also got this idea of as the small producers. So what we need to be aware is that on JEUNE, we are committed. We are doers. We have people, everyone that is inside our organization is a doer on this DNA. So we are committed to the things. So we can show also some of the ways to the diplomatics from the both country regions. And we need to understand and to show the way, but also discuss openly some problems, for example, about taxations, about trading, about some problems that right now we are getting and facing between European Union and China. And that is things that is really important for the both sides to understand on a mutual respect of dialogue, and to understand and to check how we can go deeper on our relation. First to solve these issues, and then of course go working together and by hand to the other geographies, because it's really important, like Michele Orzan said, and now Mr. Zhang also rephrased, is that we need to think for the future, and the future is starting to do now. We cannot delay the future, and so we need to discuss now the points. We have the huge obligation to show that we need to go to carbon zero. We need to think about our planet, and it's really important to get this commitment, and mostly that we show that way. And on JEUNE, of course, together with the European Chamber of Commerce and also with the Green Wheel, with the project, we need to also to rephrase that this is one of the biggest points that we need to show the way. For example, we can say that on JEUNE, what we discussed on European Union level, and we start a pilot project, is the 100 village solar panels. And what we did was to support institutionally projects all along Europe to decrease the cost of energy on the village, to avoid that the people leave the village to go to work to the big cities, because it's also a big problem that we have in Europe, and also a big problem that we have that is existing now in China, is that the migrations from the countryside to the big cities, and we need to try to reduce the cost of life and get, of course, better life commitment to the countryside. So I believe that the rule of JEUNE is make these pilot projects, show the way, and mostly think but act like we are doing till now. And like I said, I'm in a huge pressure because the former presidents of JEUNE made a huge work till now. From 1994 till now, we have huge achievements. And during my presidency, I also want to give put my marks, and of course, one of that will be the increase of the relations with China. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alberto. It's interesting to hear, and I think what I really what is stuck with me with what you talked about now is the social work, because that is something that I can see is also adding to the general prosperity of the country, of the union, of us as entrepreneurs. I came to think about about 12 years ago when I had my very first job. My boss told me, he was an entrepreneur himself. He told me, Adam, if you are an entrepreneur, you have to take social responsibility. And I think that that is something that I didn't really understand at the time. But as time grew, and I hear it from now you again, Alberto, it's something that is very important. I would like to ask you a short question before moving on to Michele. You also talk, you touch upon some of the problems that we also encounter. Of course, we are two different cultures and two different countries, one union and one very big country, China. And you talked about, for instance, taxation, etc., etc. I have a direct question for you. Do we have the right platform or enough platforms to create a dialogue between the union, the European Union, and China to speak about this? I mean, we have the UN, we have the European delegation going to China, etc. But is it enough, do you think? It's a question for you, Alberto.
For moments, I thought that you are directing that to Michele first. No, I think that we still need to improve our platforms. We still need to improve our connections. And one of the projects that we have here on JEUNE is the huge website where we want to create the sharing ideas and the platform to create also the communication between different groups. Also, we need to develop and to involve our technologies on the way that we can think that and support European Union companies, like we see, for example, when we look to China or when we look to United States, the investment that is on startups and mostly on patents and also in software is huge. On the European Union, we are not so deeply committed with that. Mostly also because we are still missing a vision on together. And that is something that we need to solve internally also, but also we need to look for the cooperation. And these cooperations, I believe that we can do it, of course, if we think how we can achieve our other goals also. So, of course, when we are cooperating, for example, we can see some projects, that huge projects of big companies that invested in Europe from China side. And what I believe that is necessary now also to do is that these big companies also give some support for social works and also development and to the universities, because in Portugal what is happening now together with JEUNE and AGPC is that we are doing lots of work with the Chinese community here in Portugal and involving the Chinese companies to support the real projects. I believe that if we show to these huge companies that invested in Europe that there are something more for them to invest, the leaders of that big companies are very human beings. So it's people that understand also that is necessary to invest socially, that is necessary also to give something for the society and mostly for the countries where there was the investment. So I believe that we need to appeal for that, but we also need to show the way, because if we go to a company, international company, multinational company that invested 100, 200, 500 million euros in one country of Europe, and we just go there, okay, I would like for a donation. Okay, that is not the way. We need to go with the project. We need to show the way and say, okay, we would like to do this project. And we believe that this company A, B, C, D will have a play to role here. If we get involved with these big multinational companies, we can go on this way to increase our platform, because it's all about communication. It's all about human beings. It's all about getting the people involved. If we get these people involved, like we did, for example, in JEUNE, and that was also with our present honorary president Patrick Kovacs, that he made a huge work also with China. He was the one that started during this presidency to work more closer. Now what we are doing also is creating on JEUNE the title of ambassadors and special envoys, because we need to put people together. And if we give also the respect and the way to involve, I believe that we have a huge work to do the next 2 years. Fortunately, now the world is starting to get more closer again after this pandemic. And I believe that 2022, 2023 will be years of big success, and that we can achieve the goals that we are ready to commit. And it's essential that we go to the big companies that invested in Europe and avoid that they leave Europe, because on these kind of pressures, what we need to do now is involve them, because the work is huge, the potential is here. I just don't want that we are surfing a wave and that we let the wave going on out. So we need to catch this moment, and this all is about communication. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Alberto, and I do agree with you on that we need to also communicate. I think there is a lot to it. What you said, that we need to communicate. It's all about communication and connecting social responsibility to entrepreneurship, both on big enterprise level as well as small and medium businesses. I like that. Okay, Michele, the floor is yours again. I would like your thoughts about what we are discussing here from a European chamber, macro level, so to speak. What do you think about it?
Well, we have to speak about our hearts too. You have noticed next to me here one important logo that I sport on the side of our here, and it's Green Wheel, something that we started as a CSR activity 7, 8 years ago. And now today we are elevating, because it's a way of thinking about the future. We spoke about the future, and now today we are speaking about young entrepreneurs. So as a young entrepreneurs, what's important? It's important your future, your family, yourself, of course, your family, the people around you, the society. We cannot have a good future if we don't take care of our Mother Earth. So now comes the big important choices that entrepreneur has to do. Sometimes we have opportunities that may not be ethically the best one, but bring you more money, or others, or the opposite. So choosing, I know, is difficult, especially if you are a young entrepreneur. But when you think what your heart says, and you put it as an important guideline, and you think about the future as an important guideline, and think about your family, children, if you have children, then it's much easier to make the right decisions. Let me share only one thing on my screen. So this is one pledge that we ask every company, an entrepreneur from China to Europe and then America, to do when doing business. Promise to yourself and the people around you, your stakeholders, that you consider the environment when you will take decisions. And that's all. It's very easy. Considering doesn't mean to achieve 50% of this or that, or getting a certification, expensive thing. Consider is meaning taking into consideration different options, evaluating them, and if, and only if it's possible, feasible, economical, to do a better choice, then do it. Because a good choice is not good only for you, but it's good for everybody. And then your heart will be happier in the long term. As an entrepreneur, after the journey of the entrepreneur and achieving success, so achieving success in a good way with ethics, with the correct ethics inside, it's much, much more rewarding. The whole life will change for you as an entrepreneur. And while this, the attention to the environment started, let's say, a little bit earlier in Europe, because the development we achieved earlier, development that allowed to dedicate more resources to the society, and now it's going on in China. It's important for Chinese entrepreneurs to make this step and going forward to the next step of an entrepreneurship. And in this, for this way, we feel it this one. So that's why we love our Chinese counterparts and we love the young entrepreneurs in China. With JEUNE, we had the opportunity and the honor to participate also in many events in the past. And the EuCham, we were invited, and we noticed the young entrepreneurs and their attitude changing into better. And it's a very rewarding impression, a very nice impression that we can experience every time we go to China. But it's not enough. We have to continue, because we have to not lower the level of attention to this very, very important side of entrepreneurship. But why are we speaking? Because young entrepreneurs, if you don't do this one, who else?
I can truly understand what you say about this pledge, but is it enough?
Look, you don't want to be a father where your child after 10, 15 years says, Papi, didn't you promise and you pledges this and that 10, 20 years ago? What are you doing today? So making public your beliefs, it exposes you to the public consideration and a public judgment. So your customers, your family, your beloved people, your stakeholders, your employees, your suppliers will evaluate your words. If you make a public pledge of the direction where you are going, well, it's stronger than a certification. The judgment of your people who keep your company alive or your family, and that's the good part. It costs zero. It doesn't have any financial cost. So that's why we developed this simple, super simplified way of becoming better. It's so easy to become a better player in the world, and it doesn't cost anything. It costs a little bit of work, nothing else, no money.
If I may ask you, Michele, if you were to rank maybe 1, 2, 3 the main business areas that you see a potential for European businesses when working with China. I mean, for our audience, maybe it's interesting to hear about some of the analysis that the chamber have done and do right now about it. Is green technology one of those main 3 parts, maybe?
Yeah. Nice question. After 2 years of COVID, everything is changing. So sure, we look at the future, but we also have an eye on the past, of course. Since Europe developed a little bit faster or earlier in green technologies, sure, China can profit from this development that was already done without repeating and trying to find solutions that are already found. So in exchanges, we have a very interesting world we developed in the past decades, where China was the producer of the world, and London and New York were the financial centers, and so on. So this distribution, which was kind of unbalanced personally, but it's a personal view, I would like to see a more rebalanced distribution of all the factors. Production, service, finance should be equally distributed. Also for safety, things happen. The sad things happen sometimes. It's not nice to speak about cold wars, but they may happen in different kind of So a conscious entrepreneur, a conscious leader of the society takes into consideration risks too. That's why we have insurances. We pay insurance. I don't intend to give fire to my house, but still I pay for the insurance. The same young entrepreneur had to think about his future, and a conscious leader of the world, of the country, had to think about the future of the country, and in the same way. The contribution that young people can give, it's immense. So I would suggest in finding the business opportunity of the future to meet more. That's why we have organizations like our Nobel Organization of Young Entrepreneurs in Europe, chaired by Alberto, because they put in contact people and they can exchange ideas. They become friends. They do business together. Making business together is the best way to ensure that we will have no war tomorrow. So the function of entrepreneurship, the function of the private sphere, of the business sphere, it's a very huge. It's one of the 3 big pillars of the world. We have the business pillar, the government pillar, and we have the social pillar. These 3, they should work together. Who is more important than young entrepreneurs, the leaders of tomorrow? Today we have to help them to grow up. We have to give them the right access to information. We have to mentor them, and this is, thank you very much. I see between our listeners today, Ingo, which is one of the main advisors of the young entrepreneurs in Europe. He has beside a fantastic background. Every time I see him, he has a fantastic. He's traveling the world by staying comfortably in Spain, but he's a great entrepreneur, a great CEO, with a huge experience. Look, let me give you 1 minute, Ingo, to you to give me our inputs, because your invaluable inputs are always so welcome in our discussions. Ingo, what do you think about it?
Well, listening to all of you, it's really impressive. And before I answer to your question, maybe I can make a few remarks and statements. For me, the China Day today, it's also celebrating diversity. It is just impressive, the history of China, where you come from and what you achieved. And same for the European Union, where we come from and what we have achieved in the last years, especially. And truly, it's different ways and different approaches that we took. And I think both of the different approaches that the Chinese population took and the entrepreneurs took, and what the European entrepreneurs results are really. And I think here is a big chance and opportunity for us and for the Chinese entrepreneurs as well, or the whole population, to come together and learn from each other, not only about the history and what can we learn from that, but also from concrete approaches. How do we do business? How do we operate it? Because in Europe, we don't have one way. Huh? Every country has its own ways of doing business and reaching targets. And in Europe, we come quite close and learn from each other. The Italians learn from the Germans from the Swedish businesses, and that adds a lot of value. But what I don't see too much is we don't really learn from the Chinese how they approach their businesses and come to these sensational results and the impressive results that you have really accomplished in the last, let's say 20 years. When the European Union in the past was also, I would say, we were also arrogant. We thought we are the country of the continent of the inventors. We are always leading ahead. We have a lot of innovation. And in the last 20 years, I think we really had to acknowledge how massively the Chinese population came with innovations that really changed the world and made a big impact. And I think here for both sides, it could be very beneficial if the Europeans and the Chinese would go deeper and real business on business, exchange ideas, how they do business, because I think we can learn from each other. And then maybe translate that, benefiting from each other on a business level. It's wonderful and it's important, but maybe not the most important thing. I think the most important thing is then, as Alberto and Michele said before, and you, Mr. Ambassador, said before, the dialogue brings understanding of each other's ways, more respect towards each other, and all these things can result into common goals. And here I was about to type a question on the chat, where I'm really interested, Mr. Ambassador, in how does China actually regard the European Union? Michele said, showed in his presentation, we're actually a very small continent. We have 7% of the land, landmarks 10% of the population, if I recall correctly, and 28% of the GDP, which is declining. So I'm really interested how the Chinese would regard Europe on a strategic view, and then what are the common goals that China and the European Union maybe have to formulate together to make the world a better place, but also where would China really like to see Europe supporting them and formulating common goals to maybe achieve bigger targets that we don't even know about as of today. So I would like to raise that question, if I may. Sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt the flow.
Thank you very much, Ingo, for the question. I would be happy to take that in the Q&A session that starts very soon. So don't worry. Thank you very much for the question. And let's ask that to Mr. Zhang. But before that, I just want to go back to a little bit of what we talked about earlier with a pledge to companies, and also what you said now, Ingo, that we don't really learn enough from a European perspective from the Chinese entrepreneurs and businesses. So this is a question for you, Mr. Zhang. Do you have these kind of pledges to your companies in China? Do you hear about it? And also, how can we as Europeans learn more from your fantastic Chinese innovation and entrepreneurs, etc.? How can we learn more from you?
Yeah, actually it's a very good question. So since as we all know that since 1978, China opening up and began to make engagement with the outside world. And during this process, a lot of the Chinese company began to develop such as the Huawei the most famous the technology companies. For us, one of the experience for us, I think first you must engagement. Then second, communicate. The third is that to resolve the difference and focus on how to promote the cooperations, and you learn from each other and transform others' ideas and integrate the different parties' ideas with your own ideas. Then innovate it from absorb other ideas, other innovation, and then integrated with China's own conditions, own experience. Then you develop the new models, new products. I think that's one of the best, best experience. Learn from each other, and then learn from each other, and then integrated with your own conditions. Then you can produce opportunity and promote space for the development. I think that's one of the most experience.
I understand, and what I'm thinking about when I listen to you is from when I speak to a lot of young entrepreneurs and business people who are running small and medium businesses. Maybe they have 5 to 10, 15, 20 employees. Maybe that is not so much by Chinese standards, but if you from a Swedish perspective have 10 employees, you are starting to become a real company in some sense. If you're not a consultant as I am, then it's just one person in a company. So how do you, as a small and medium business, enter the Chinese market? Because what I hear a lot is that it's too big of a step to go, too much regulation, too much to think about. So where would I go as a small and medium business with maybe 10 employees, and I want to explore the Chinese market? How do I do? Who do I contact?
Yeah, I think the first thing is maybe you should first contact with the Chinese embassy and commercial sections, and you just talk about your what do you want to do, and seek the help from the commercial sections. This is the most important things to do. And I think the second one is that you find a suitable partner in China. A suitable partner, maybe sometimes the commercial section can recommend the candidate for you, and you, because you just as we have said that China is a different, it has a different, very different operations with the European and with other countries. So I think if you want to enter in access into the China's market, I think this second most important thing is you find a proper partner, local partner. And the third that is that you find the proper cities, the proper locations. Just as you have said, China is huge countries. There are different, the coastal areas, the middle areas, the western areas. Different areas has the different advantages. So you must understand. You should start your business. Which places you would like to. Sometimes Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen is a big city, but the competition is very tough, very intensive. But if you go to the Sichuan, this is the western areas, western countries. Maybe the condition is better. The government will give you some advantage, some better condition to begin your business. That's my advices. Yeah, for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is a really good advice, I think. So for everybody that is viewing this and listening to us right now, a shout out to you. You can actually contact the commercial section at your local embassy, and they are able to maybe help with contacts and stuff like that. So that's really good advice. We have going back to Alberto from JEUNE, Young Entrepreneurs of the European Union. What is your thought about all of this that we speak about now?
So first of all, I believe that for a small entrepreneur or a small and medium company, we need to do firstly a good homework. Of course, we can also count always with the diplomatic support from China side, with the commercial support, the delegations on national level. But if we are real small, we need to go and to make a good homework. I'm going to give you just two examples very quick. First of all, like Mr. Zhang said, China is huge, like I already said before also, and we need to compare China sometimes also with Europe, with all the different cultures internally and also the potential of the markets. So if you are owner of a small and medium company, I believe that you should forget the main markets, the first tier cities, and you can go to the third and the fourth. The third and the fourth tier cities, when we are speaking about 1 million people city, with the capacity of, is a huge market for us on the European level. So when we think about Zhuhai next to Macau, when we think about Dongduan in the north of Shenzhen, for example, or we are thinking about in Guangxi, for example, is a province with more than 100 million people. And if we go just directly to Zhongbi, just as a city with 1.5 million, or with Jiangmen with 2 million people, is already a fourth tier city, so it's good for us to start. And then you don't have so much competition. If we go directly to Shanghai, Beijing, even Chongqing, now that in mainland, and now it is also with the free trade zone, that is also something that I would like also to phrase here, is that with JEUNE, we have an agreement with Chongqing free trade zone to start to get a place where we can put the goods from our members without paying taxes till we sell. That is good for us, jump for the e-commerce. We did this on 2019 with the presidency of Andrea. So we need to achieve these goals. Now we need to go from the theory to the practical. So we need to go back to Chongqing and start this free trade zone for us, for all our members on JEUNE. And that will give us the potential to go with the small companies and spread from the central China to all over the places. But also we need to understand what is the costs of the internationalization. There are companies that they are not ready for that. And so we need to make this homework. I can say to you, for example, when I started working with China was in 2007. And the first time that I went to participate in exhibition, I spent by my pocket almost 14,000 euros. Okay. Nowadays, we organize that exhibition by AGPC together with JEUNE, and the cost of participation with the flight included, with the logistic, with the booth is 2,500 euros. So the big, huge difference of decreasing of the costs was thinking like an entrepreneur. Let's make agreements. So we did agreements with Emirates, then we made agreements with China Airlines, okay? So 2 routes for different businessmen, and we got gold cards for our members on that time. Then we reduced the cost of logistic. So instead of each businessman send 1 pallet, we made containers, okay? We send 2-3 months in advance, and we send the full containers with goods. Then we made agreements with the local hotels. So we don't have 10 middlemen, okay, when we organize our events on JEUNE, for example. And that allows you also, when we are together with the CCPIT from China, for example, that is a useful tool from China side, that is also a government institution that support nationally, and that is also divided by provinces. And then you are also a partner, international partner. So what is our commitment on JEUNE is that we go. If we say that we go, we go. And they trust on us. And of course, trusting on us, we are partners, okay? And if we are partners, we are working together. If we are working together, our costs are different. We are not Guailos. We are not just foreigners. So we have increasing our guanxi relation, and doing that, what we are doing is reducing completely the costs. Imagine 14,000 euros in 2007, and in 2015 we already decreased it and decreased it, and the last time that we went there was almost 2,500 euros with everything included, with accommodation, with the logistic, with the flights. So is a huge decrease, and that is what we should do on JEUNE. We should show the way. Then each businessman do their own business, okay? And of course, like Michele said, you do business with your friends, or you just go with someone that you don't know, or if you don't like, if it's really necessary, because in the end you always gonna give the business for someone that you trust, for someone that you can shake your hand and that you believe. And doing that, if we do that more internationally, we can aim that will be on a global peace. And something that I tell you, and here on the front of everyone recording, is that something that give me some peace of sleep when I'm thinking about all these problems that we have sometimes in the world with all these potential problems on wars and so on, is that China, as a potential economic in the world, is investing on infrastructures all over the world. So that means that is a country that aims to be peaceful internationally, and that means that is investing. When is investing in bridge, when is investing on roads, when is investing on dams, means that is a long-term investment on concessions. So no one wants to make a long-year investment and then destroy it. So that means that, on my perspective, it's always good that we, on a global way, like Michele said, that we work more closely, and more engagement we have between the countries, more peaceful we're going to be, for sure. But of course, we need also to be concerned also about the social project, like we spoke before, and also the green wheel. If we do step by step, and it's not so hard, like Michele was saying, it's just a commitment for ourselves. And if we commit on that to change a little bit, we also will change personally, but also we're going to change on our companies and also in our institutions. Then you see that each person can touch 100, 1,000, 10,000 people. But always start with our commitment. And our commitment is our commitment on life, with the family, with the friends, professionally, and also between our associations. So because of that, is really important that for the ones that are on the rule, that we got 300% commitment for the what we are trying to do in our goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think that the things you're touching upon now is somewhat of a core of what we are discussing here today. There is a lot of tension all across the world right now, the West against the East. It's old traditional paradigm. I hope we can see a shift in it sometimes in the future. I would like to say that we are starting to run out of time, and I will like to invite Ingo to ask your question again, and please keep it very short question, and I will pass it on to Mr. Zhang. So Ingo, please ask your question.
Well, I was wondering how China sees the European Union, the role of the European Union in the moment, being a smaller part in the world, and how strategically China sees the value of the European Union in getting their interests communicated to the world. And on the other hand, what could be maybe new or old common goals where the European Union and China could really move together close and work on a common goal. So these are maybe one of the same two sides of the same question, first of all.
So I pass that question on to you, Mr. Zhang.
Okay, thank you, Ingo. It's a really a good question and a big questions. Generally speaking, the China views the EU as our strategic partners. The strategic partners, we actually European Union, we think European Union as a group, a group with the most developed countries. Actually, we think we can learn a lot from the European unions. And actually, in the European unions, there is a lot of the multinational company and very innovative the countries. And actually, in China, and not of the EU has a strong existence in China. And for example, in China, one of our most urgent thing is the handle with the climate change and to environmental protections. And we can learn a lot from the Europeans from the Swedes. For example, in China, we have the engaged in the new development philosophers, innovation and open and green and share for all. And that's, I think that's new development philosopher is very similar with the EU, with the EU. We can cooperate. There is a lot of cooperative areas that China and EU can do. For example, the smart city, the climate changing, and the connectivities. As we had the media report a lot about, during the pandemic. Because the China European tree, the China Sino-European the trees, the tree increased a lot. From Chongqing, from the Zhengzhou to the Germany, and transport lots of cargoes, especially the anti-pandemic cargoes to Europe. That's a good example that we can do a lot to promote the cooperation to a new high. Of course, just as I have said that the EU and China has a different history, different political systems, different operations. We have some difference. Sometimes the difference is very tough, but the most important is that we should keep engagement and keep talk and try our best to focus on the cooperation and keep the difference. Restrict, control the difference. Then I strongly believe if we can perceive each other in a rational and objective way, then there will be a bigger opportunity for us in the near future. Yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you very much. And I think it was quite a good answer. It's a lot of truth to what you're saying. And I think that we have touched upon, as I said before, we have touched upon the core of what relations between two very different parts of the world is and what it has been, and most importantly, I believe, what it can be for the future. So we will be finishing up now, and I will give 30 seconds to each of the panel members just to conclude your thoughts very briefly. And so what do you think, what is your opinion about this seminar that we had now, and maybe the way forward, or what is on your mind? We're starting with Michele.
Thank you very much. So to conclude, I think China and Europe have a lot of things to do to good in the future. The collaboration between two very important and most important and the oldest human developments in the world, in China and in Europe, it's fundamental for the future. We have to teach each other, learn from each other, and collaborate for the future. I have 10 seconds. Let me go. When I go to China, I try to go to stay in a family. Instead of going to hotel, I stayed at entrepreneurs, people, and maybe you know, couch surfing. Couch surfing, when you go to the couch of somebody else, and you think that's for students. No, I hosted in Budapest 700 people, including many Chinese, and some of them were millionaires. They come to my couch in order to learn instead of going to the hotel. I'm doing the same when I go to China. I stayed in block panels, big houses. I stayed in huge villas on the top floors of skyscrapers and so on. Entrepreneurs, leaders, millionaires. And it's incredible how can you learn from each other and how you can teach your counterpart about your experiences in your own continent. So let's make more personal connections. These personal connections will develop in friendship and business together. Young entrepreneurs, the world is yours.
Oh, wow, very interesting. Couch surfing in China. I need to try that. That's a good one. I'm taking that idea from you now. 30 seconds. Alberto.
First of all, just to tell you that I did couch surfing in China 10, 12 years ago, okay? So it's a really important experience for all of us. On JEUNE, what I want to say to all young entrepreneurs and everyone that aims to make this relation more stronger, you need to go to China with open eyes, okay? But also with the open heart and open mind, okay? If you do that, you're gonna assimilate much more information and you're gonna be ready to get this compromise because you're going to get new friends. And these new friends, like Mr. Zhang said, can be our next partners, okay? So it's really important to get these open eyes, open heart and open mind. And I would like to leave here from JEUNE the challenge for the next year to organize the business rail and also the China JEUNE Day for next year on the second semester. And I would like to ask officially here the support of Mr. Zhang to give this message through and together to be more stronger and achieve our goals, that is this connection and this bridge between this potential amazing network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alberto. And I will do my best to push Mr. Zhang Biao to put this forward in the leadership hierarchy of the Chinese embassy. So, Mr. Zhang Biao, you have your 30 to 45 seconds, and if you also would like to respond on the pushing for doing this business rail going from Beijing to Chongqing, I think, and way. Is that something that we can do? What do you think?
I think it's a good idea. And actually, this is a very good seminar. And I think we need more such a good communication and platform to help us to understand each other and more. And in a conclusion, anyway, China welcome all of you and wish you make bigger success in China in near future. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zhang, and thank you the Chinese embassy in Stockholm.
Adam.
This concludes the China Day Europe edition. I just saw now that maybe you, Alberto, have a quick pass. Is that correct?
Yes, just very quick, just to tell that for the Business Rail edition by JEUNE, our goals is by 2024 to make the bridge on the rail from Beijing to Brussels, okay? So for now we are doing like we did the Iberian Business Rail, Southern Business Rail, Central Europe Business Rail, and some editions in China. But what we want to aim is by 2024, we do a trip between Beijing and Brussels, okay? Just want to reinforce this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will also make sure that this information is conveyed between the two organizations. This concludes China Day Europe edition here in Stockholm, Sweden. I would like to thank everyone for participating and for our audience. I hope you've found this interesting. I think that we touched upon some of the core between the relations between our cultures, and there is a lot more to think about. So this will leave me at least thinking about how to cooperate and how to actually do concrete activities for the future. So thank you very much, everybody, and see you again in the near future, I hope. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.